It's Harry Boxer, the technical trader at TechTrader.com. This is a re-recording of the weekend webinar for clarity purposes. Again, you can see the indices have had a distinct year-long bear market and 5 waves down, followed by a reversal October. I've been repeating that for weeks now. And then the run up to resistance, where there is a double triple top and then a pullback, about a 50% fib retracement. We created a new trend line, rising tops line there, creating where there might be targets. But for me, we had a clear breakout Wednesday, follow through Thursday, and then a 1% pullback on the S&P on Friday. To be expected, the market was a little extended and sometimes when they break out through multiple tops consolidations, you'll get a pullback. The question is, will it hold? And the breakout point was about 4,100, so I'd like to see that hold without any pullback. Your target, it should be in 4,300 range to test these tops in that range, and that would be, and possibly even as high as 43.75 or something like that at the top of the channel. We'll see. Longer term, 45, 46, et cetera, all potentially doable if we don't fall apart here. The NASDAQ 100, which had a completely different pattern, and what I mean by different, if you take a look at the S&P, we had a V bottom with a right-hand extension. The NDX, more of a triple bottom area with a nice base formation after 5 waves down, and then a triple, quadruple top breakout, pull back, and blow through, reaching a key resistance level across here, up about the 12,800 range before the pullback on the NASDAQ 100, quite a big one, 1.8% on Friday. But it comes after a big run up during the earlier part of the week where we went from 11.9 to 12.8. Initial key support will be right around the 12.4425 range, followed by the breakout point retest around 12.080 to 12.1 in that area down here. But don't forget the NASDAQ 100 is pretty much gone vertical from about 10,700 to 12,800. That's 2,100 points. It's 20%, and it did it in a month when we look at top to bottom. Pretty amazing move. I'm not surprised the market pulled back dramatically on Friday, but you know, those kind of reversals have to be watched carefully. Transportation index, pretty impressive move, even more so looking at the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 wave decline, and then a run up, triple top, pull back, fib retracement about 50%, and then break out after retesting it for a 4th time and pulling back and forming a wedge, holding the moving averages. It blew through. My interpretation of the angle of ascent is that it's pretty much right there at the top of the wave 1, 2, 3, wave 3. So a 4th wave consolidation or even pullback of a deeper nature might be considered appropriate with the target next up here at 16.6. That's the transportation. Pretty spectacular move on the IWM small caps as they moved from 169.70 range, let's say back in December 170 to a high of nearly 200, reaching 199. You know, you get a 30-point run up or 15, 14%, something like that in a period of 6 weeks or so on the IWM. It's pretty important to note because the small cap stocks may be starting to emerge here. But if you look at the overall picture since April, it's a big base pattern. And the key is for me the August highs, which came in about 202. We'll break through 202. We're looking at 210.11, and that would be a hell of a momentum move. But at this point, again, the interpretation is that the rising channel top and near lateral resistance may have been met on Thursday before pulling back about 2/3% on Friday. But either way, if this is a 1, 2, 3 within a wave 3, then we're looking for 4 and 5. So you may need to consolidate or rest in this zone, but momentum could carry it further. So that's a look at the indices, and they don't look bad, although they are a bit extended. How do we interpret that? Well, let's look at the oscillators to see where, at this point, where we're at. In the December low, the thing got down to -171 and then ripped within a couple weeks to +205. From -171 to +205, you know, it's a huge reversal, but we've seen it many times here and here, et cetera, before the pullback. Right now, it's kind of neutral at +59. Nothing to glean from that yet. And I mentioned the percentage of stocks still above their 40-day moving average is more than 3/4 of stocks, 77%, which is near overbought zone that we've seen historically, but it doesn't mean it can't stay up here for weeks at a time like it did here. But we may be due for a pullback in the markets and in the percent of stocks that remain over the 40. Meanwhile, the VIX really hasn't done much all year. Besides vacillate between like 16, 17 to as high as 34.5. Right now we're at the lower end of the range, which could mean a bounce up in volatility and a pullback in the markets. Again, we got several factors that are indicating closing in on a topping pattern if we haven't reached one already. Now look at some of the components, and they are key. What a move on Apple. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 waves down, taking the Apple from 175 to 124, and then right back up to 157 within 3 weeks. Right back to resistance. So a pullback from here, which happened late Friday, wasn't a shocker, and it still isn't. We may need to consolidate or even back off, but momentum could carry this here. Next target at 164. Amazon, on the other hand, with a negative island reversal here, has me concerned. As a market leader, that stock better not have any downside follow through, and if so, you want to see 99 hold. That's my number. Below 99, pretty negative for the markets. Google also had a big reversal from 108 to 103. Finished 105 and chain down 358. Nevertheless, the base pattern broke out with a breakaway gap and a partial refill. You can see across here. My interpretation of this pattern is that if we do get an extension, we're looking at 112.13. But it may have to fill the gap and get back down to test 98.5. We'll see. Microsoft. It's a nice double bottom and run up to the resistance level. The overall chart pattern shows a run right back to the major declining top sign going back a year. So the pullback on Microsoft late Friday took it from 264 to 257, finishing 258.35, down to 6 1/4. Isn't a surprise to me because of lateral price resistance and declining top line resistance. But any breakthrough here could be huge for the market and certainly for Microsoft. Netflix has been a monster all, like last eight months or so since May when it bottomed. But the run-up has been exceedingly strong and double the stock. So at this point, the pullback off the top of the channel on Friday, also not a shocker, from 379 to 365, and actually after being up 14 to be down a point, and that's a pretty negative reversal day for me. So coming off the top of the channel, not a surprise, but let's see how Netflix holds in this zone. Meta's another strong one. Okay, there you go. So you can see the V bottom with the platform, a wedge, or a coil, and then another breakout, and then a breakaway gap. And this is not a breakaway gap. It's more of a running or exhaustion gap. And this interpretation here has this up in a really key overhead resistance zone, especially when the stock goes up 100 points. This went from 88 to 197. That's 109 points. And certainly with a gap like that, the stock would do very well to hold the gap at 180 and back and forth for a couple 3 days and then go some more. But it also may come down and get a deeper retrace or even fill the gap, which I don't think will happen at this point, not yet. Nevertheless, a very bullish chart. NVIDIA certainly powerhouse, and one of the reasons why the SMH is doing the same. Left shoulder ahead, right shoulder. There's your neckline break, multiple tops, breakout, retest, pop. Inside day Friday. Now I know it was down 6 and maybe due for a deeper retrace, perhaps even to take it back down and test the 195 range. But my interpretation of this one is that eventually this will make a move up towards the mid $200, 250 thereabout range. And finally Tesla, which has had a monster move of 100 points from 101.91 to 199. Let's call it 97 points, nearly 100%, and it's a double top there. So I'm not surprised that reversed off of 199 to close the essentially 190. It was still up a couple, but it was way off the high. So we're going to have to see whether there's a downside follow through, and if there is, how long it lasts, and what kind of consolidation takes place, but certainly stocks, like Tesla, NVDA, Meta, really fantastic chart patterns, and all of them have had big moves. So the pullback here again is, for me, is welcome technically. We'll just have to see how much of a pullback, whether it goes laterally and consolidates and then sets up for more or not. Am I worried? I'm not worried. I'm concerned about a pullback, but I'm not worried about the market being starting another major bear, channel. It might, but not looking for that. Okay, so we've looked at the components and some of the underlying indicators. Let's look at some of the ETFs that we follow closely. The SMH, for example, a massive inverse head and shoulder pattern, very similar to NVIDIA and AMAT and some others, but this one's run up to the channel top and resistance here. So I'm not surprised at that. If 1, 2, 3, 4 occurs, we might test lower levels, 233, 35, or we can just punch through and continue to the mid 260s, eventually getting up to 285, my ultimate target for the fifth wave. 1, 2, 3. If we get a 4, I'd be looking for a 5 up there. So that's healthy, but it's pulling back. Same with financials. Difference here is that the SMH broke out. If you look at the FAS, it's below this line, which is a massive neckline, should I say a neckline on a massive inverse head and shoulders. So the move here says that the measured move on a inverse head and shoulders would be, believe it or not, all the way back up to retest the highs at some point. At least, let's see, let me interpret this. Yeah, close to something up in that high 130s, low to mid 140s. So that very promising financials if we can get the breakout, but right now they backed off resistance. What about biotechs? Well, the XBI coming out of a coil, which was really a nice accomplishment considering the markets made lower lows or tested the lows, or I shouldn't say lower lows. Markets tested the lows much deeper than the biotechs did. Biotechs held very nicely, and one of the reasons why I'm picking them as my top group for the year. But we'll see if the market continues upward or not. Now, the key on the XBI, for example, is move up to 96, so you have some 6-point leeway there, and I wouldn't want to see it below, ideally below 84 thereabout. The interpretation is similar on the LABU, which is a favorite trading vehicle of ours. We had the breakout. It is a current swing. I'm not convinced the volume isn't huge enough. We may pull back, but I am telling you that 10, 11 and a half, and eventually 13 could be first, second, and third targets. So that completes that. A few other ETFs we follow closely. What about oil? Well, oil really, to me, rolled over hard, and Friday was a massive and bearish engulfing reversal bar to the downside. I was negative on oil. I was a bit surprised how strong it got here, but shouldn't be. It looks to me like a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 wave one. This is 2, 3, 4. Fifth wave may be coming. Could take you down to the low to mid 50s before this is over on the USO. And looking at GUSH, which is more of a double, excuse me, we got a topping type pattern. I think it's a hard call, but if you look at the wedge form and a pullback, should they break this line here, this could come down quickly to 109.10 range, and then that would be a pretty massive drop. So I'm, concerned about oil for sure. We'll see what happens there. Gold, negatively surprising me, because after the interpretation of these patterns, that inverse head and shoulders broke out on the GDX, for example, and we had a 1, 2, 3, 4. Looked like 5 was coming, but instead a negative reversal. Now 2 days in a row. The GDX has gone from nearly 33 to close at 30.32, and right on key trend line, lateral price, and moving yard resistance. Any further damage here, and something is amiss in gold, and it was down pretty hard, like 50 points or $50 on gold. So I'm gonna just leave you with that chart and add you just one other. The JNUG really disappointing me. Looked like a setup for a fifth wave. Instead, it broke down with a breakaway gap to the downside and closed negatively under everything. This is no longer a tech trader swing. It stopped. Okay, a lot of charts to talk about. Let's get to them. This was a difficult call, folks. I had a lot of charts over 150. I had to narrow it down. I'm looking at ACLX, which is a top pick for the year, my top 20. And here's why. Big run up, multi-month coil, breakaway gap, and beautiful another 2-month coil. Tells me this could blow at any time. Targets low to mid 40s and then mid to high 50s. ACVA, a new one. long declining pattern, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 waves down, and then a multi-month base. Finally, a breakout last week tells me this could go higher. I'd be looking for something in the mid-teens. AEHR, one of our faves. If they're breaking down or pulling back hard, it bounced nicely. But that's your line in the sand right now. You cannot let this go below 31.5 3/4. Upside targets 39, 42, and then mid to high 40s. Genesis, a beautiful 8 or 9 month rising channel. After breaking out here, you can see how the pattern is developed. A beautiful rising flag again. My target mid 90s. AI, what a wonderful move this has had. How about 10 to 28, 48 in about 5 weeks? But the spike up on big volume near a resistance level has me concerned about this being overbought. LVO, how about this pop falling wedge, breakaway gap, mini coil or pennant, gap, gap, and another coil. Just looks like a kind of stock that could extend. Your target's 14. AMD. Looks like AMD also contributed to the SMH run up with a breakout across lateral price resistance, the breakaway gap, declining top signs as well, and then the pullback Friday. But next target is 92, and then 100, 102. ANF, retailers have done very well of late. ANF has gone from basing out in the September-October period in the 14, 15 range and running up to over 30, more than doubling. 1, 2, 3, 4 rising flag. My next target is somewhere up around 35.6. ARHS, another retailer, furniture retailer, looking very good, or should I say home furnishings, right at the all-time high. An interpretation here is that it could reach the 17 range. ATAT, pop, wedge, pop, pull back, pop, wedge again. I don't know where the end is on this one, but it certainly doesn't look like a bottom. I would say stop under 23.5, target 35. AUPH with a major breakaway gap on big volume and then a sharp run up to resistance. Now an ascending bull coil tells me we go higher, looking for 11 and 12.5. BYND is a tech trader for us, and maybe ongoing swing. I'll have to check that. Breakaway gap, wedge, pop to resistance and target, pull back and coil, break out again. Friday made a new high for the last 9 months or so, right about there, reaching that level at resistance. Next target, 33 and 40. BBAI exploded a month ago, pulled back and stalled for a week, and all of a sudden, boom again. 175 to 590. And you can see it's at resistance here as well. Boil, well, I'm not sure where this bottoms, but the incredible downside pressure with big volume, the 3-day heavy volume on the downside, near the under, in the 5 handle from 123, gets it to a point where it's ridiculous. And don't be surprised to see this do a reverse split. The other side of the coin is KOLD. Okay, well, they just begun vertical from 12.5 to 60, 70. More than 5-fold increase. I'm now looking for the extension to get this one towards 80. If the market cooperates and you see, boil at 4, 4.5, or 5, whatever, this might be spiking up into that range. But be careful. This is long in the tooth, and boil is extremely oversold. BYND, Beyond Meat, breaking out of the base, but not through a long declining top line, but indicating to me your next target is 24. CAAS, this is China Automotive, pop coil, pop wedge, pop out flag, and run up. At this point, momentum could carry this to 11, 12, and 13. CABA has been in a beautiful rising channel. It's one of my top 20 picks. Look at that rising channel. Fantastic. And it continues. Where does it go to? 16, 20, 25. CECO has been flagging for 3-4 weeks. It looks like it's ready to explode again. My targets are 16, 17, and 19, 20. CLS breaking out of an inverse head and shoulders here and running up and extending. This is now at the highest level since 2017. That peak being 14 3/4. We get through there, we're looking at 20. CMTL, nice base pattern, breakout and running. Next target, 18. Collegium, a nice biotech with a breakout here, run through resistance there, explosive move, a wedge or a coil, pop, pullback again, and then pop again. So watch this one carefully, because we get to 30, 30 1/4, 34.5 is your next target. COTY breaks out of a base here and continues to run. It's been an uptrend for several months now with multiple bottoms around 6.25. It is now nearly doubled. Your target 11. CPRX, one of my top 20 picks for the year, got hit hard one day 2 weeks ago. It's trying to rebound, forming a V bottom with a right-hand extension. I would caution you to keep stops underneath 14.5 3/4 right there. But any move above 17 could rip this stock again into the 1922 zone. CPS, another base pattern breakout wedge or coil, another run up into the target zone. Extension targets 27. CRTO, another nice base breakout and pickup, and with an engulfing reversal or engulfing extension bar, now looking for 34. CTSH, tech traded swing when it broke out. It pulled back and gave you an entry up and then went from 60 to 71. It does look higher to me, 74 target. Carvana, monster move out of this coil. Saw it run from 6 to almost 20, but more than tripling. So the pullback from the declining top sign and the long-term one, after a run up like that, it should not be a surprise. It actually surprised me that it held as well as it did on Friday, closing with a gain on the day, but we'll see. Stop would be underneath Friday's low on the 12.95. Chinese stocks still holding well, although they're consolidating data in a 5-wave advance. This is a 5th wave consolidation, less reliable, but if it goes and gets to 15, we're looking at 18.5 and 20. DMTK long decline, explosive move. We watched this stock go from $1.55 to $6.44, quadrupling, and now forming a wedge. If it pops out of here, we're looking at 7 and 9. EBON, long decline, very long decline. This is a reverse split, by the way. eBang exploded from what looks like 2.5 and ran up to 10 3/4. In the last 3 weeks, it's been consolidating beautiful, and if it breaks out of this thing to the upside, $12 target is a possibility. EDU, the tech traded swing, continues in a rising channel. I like the look of it, but it needs to get up through 46.5 3/4. Then your target's 52 and 57. EGHT popped on Thursday, inside day Friday, but it broke out of a coil pattern. Watch for an extension to 7.5 3/4 and then 10. EH exploded in December with a 1, 2, 3, 4. 5th wave started, but a reverse Friday. Can't tell yet where this goes, but your targets are 17 and 21. EHTH tech traded swing broke out here, put a swing on it when it pulled back. It then popped and pulled back again before consolidating in a coiling type pattern, breaking out to the target, pulling back to test resistance and trend line, running up again and then reversing Thursday. Let's see if it holds support at 7.25. Target 9.25 and 12. Top 20 pick FDMT exploded in November and been consolidating since. I needed to hold 18.5, 19 zone and get out above the resistance at 26.7. If so, 31 and 37.8 are doable. Another biotech 1, 2, 3, 4, 5-way move, but 1, 2, 3 and a third of a fifth. Make pull back and give you a fifth at some point near 30. FGEN. First solar breakaway gap, beautiful run up, consolidating the zone. If it extends, we're looking at 210. I'd like to see a stop underneath 162. Fulcrum Therapeutics. Coiling base, breakaway move, and a nice little coil. Move out of this coil gets me to 17, 18 zone. GAN tech traded swing, broke out. We put a swing on it, moved its way up to target number 1 by reaching 249. Next target is 3.5 and 4.5. GDS swing, broke out, flagged and popped, and now it's wedging. It targets at 30, 35, and 40. Glycomimetics, a low price puppy, has run from 50 cents to 360, and it's a beautiful rising channel with a target now 4.25 ahead. HIMX, inverse head and shoulder breakout here and a run up. Nice steady rising channel, targeting 9 and 10, longer term 12. HOWL, tech traded swing, breaks out here on big volume, flags for 3 days. Pops again to the target, coiling now. Next target, 5, 6, and 7. Harrow, one of my top 20 picks for the year, broke out and big time last week as it ran up sharply to reach my target at near 18, hit 17 3/4. Target's now 21 and 24. Huya, another Chinese stock on the run, but they pulled back. This one on Friday in particular. Watch this one. Stop is under 5, 5.25. The target 7.5 and 9. IMMX with a V bottom and right hand extension, pop and coil breaks out on Friday. My next target's 5. IMRA, pop, breakaway gap, pop coil, breakaway gap, run up to target, double top, and then pull back and spend months coiling. Friday was a big day for it as it popped and gained another 6, 7%. If it gets through 5.25, 5.30, I'd be looking for 6.5 and 8.5. IMVT, breakaway move, strong rising channel. This is a top 20 pick. Wasn't a good day Friday, but it did close nicely, so we'll keep that right there as a possible stopping point around 14. IQ, another Chinese stock in a rising channel at resistance. Extension targets are 10 and 12.75. KDNY, one of my top 20 picks for the year. You can see why, breaking out of a long base, retesting it, and breaking out of that. Now, the interpretation is a coil flag type pattern is forming. An immediate target for the sometime this year, 35. ISC, big run up and a big spike on Friday again at $1.22. Not telling you how far this one goes, but it has run from $1.50 to 7. LI popped and broke out and pulled back on Friday with many Chinese stocks, but should it get through the 28 range, 27, let's see, 27.5, I'd about be looking for 32.3. LPSN breaks out of a base with a breakaway gap and ran up to resistance. But the overall chart pattern shows a long decline followed by a base and a breakout. Consolidation set up here would be nice. Next targets are 20 and 24. Moon has had a steady run since October, reversed here at 4 and ran up to 10.45. It's now coiling and may have broken out on Friday. Next target, 11.5, 13. Lights, big base breakout here. Rising channel here. Channel top target now 16.5, 3/4. Mara with Bitcoin running and then pulling back. So did Mara. You can see Mara consolidating in this range. I really would love to see it hold 6.5 and then break out over 10. Once it does that, it targets are 11, 12, and 14. MBLY since its IPO has been phenomenal. 1, 2, 3, 4, and a big 5th wave. So it's extended. I wouldn't be overly aggressive with it, but momentum could carry it to the high 40s. MGNI, long downtrend for this tech stock that went from 62 down to 5. Big reversal, breakaway gap run up, and then a falling channel, breakout, run up again, your target 15. MLCO in the gaming group, big breakout there, a flag and another flag, I'm looking for more, 17 target. NEO, nice base pattern, I like the look of it. I put a swing on it and back right off. Nominal breakout and pull back, but it should go 15.5 and 17 targets. INE, ongoing swing, but careful. I'm not happy with what looks like a potential head and shoulders. And with oil breaking down, potentially this could fall apart. Must stop under 11.5, 3/4. NSTG breaks out and we put a swing on it, formed a little coil and broke out. It looks pretty good for more upside. I'm looking for 15 and 18. OI, that's formerly Owens, Illinois. Breakout, flag or coil, wedge, whatever, another breakout. Is it going to set up again and go to 25? That's my target. Tech trader swing OM popped and flagged. Rising channel, looking good for more. My target's 33.4 and eventually high 30s. ORIC, I believe a top 20 pick, broke out, flagged, and pulled back. I don't like Friday's action on it, but I'm okay with the stock if it manages to hold $5. Your targets are 7 and 8.5. Pan American Silver may have broken down on Friday, and this along with JNUG, I am now taking off my swing list as they appear to be broken down technically. Should be stopped. PACB popped and is flagging in here. I like the look of that one. Resistance around 13, targets 14 and 17, 18. PATH broke out. We put a swing on it. It looks pretty good for an additional movement, but it did pull back from resistance. Eventual target 22. Puma, inverse head and shoulder breakout, and a nice bull coil developing over the last couple of months. I think this is going to make a pretty big move at some point. If it gets to 5 1/4, you're looking at 6.5, 7. TCBX with a big breakout and flag. I have this on my top 20 list. It's still coiling, consolidating, but a nice setup after a big base and breakaway gap. Next targets are in the mid 60s, high 50s, mid 60s. PDSB, also a top 20 pick, had a nice run here in late December. It's been pulling back ever since, dropping from 13 to 8. It's right on support here. I don't want to see this below 790, 795. Resistance now 10 and 13. Those are your targets as well. Perion been a big winner for us this year over the last 3 years. Breaking out on Thursday, and I believe we're going to see 40, 45, maybe 50 on this one. Plug. Looks like an inverse head and shoulders across here and broke out. We put a swing on it, but it backed right off. My interpretation is it still has legs to 20 and 23. PRPL, a tech trader swing, broke out, put a swing on it, then took weeks to coil, breaks out again, and wedges and breaks out again. I got a target at 8. PRVB still on support for a couple months now, near the trend line as well. This one needs to hold $8. Targets are 10 3/4 and 12. PSTX, Poseidon Therapeutics, in a beautiful rising channel near the top of the channel, so it does extend. And I'm looking for 10.5, 11, but careful on that one. Peloton broke out. We put a swing on it. It then followed through a little bit and then reversed Friday. Overall, though, it looks like an inverse head and shoulders and breakout. So any pullback consolidation in here might be interpreted bullishly. My targets are 19 and 21. RELL, a beautiful long-term channel. B bottom and right-hand extension. It's at resistance here across this line. Should it break out then? I'm looking for 27 and 30. Replimune is the top 20 pick of the year. Nice base breakaway gap with big volume. Been consolidating for 6, 7 weeks now. It did have a nasty little pullback on Friday, but I'm looking for a breakout. It gets it above 29.5 and runs into the low to mid 30s. ROIV, yet another top 20 pick. Breakout of the base. A beautiful little bull wedge here. And then a run up, test, explode to the top of the channel and pull back in an orderly fashion. Now it's had multiple waves up, but on a longer term basis, particularly for the rest of the year, I'm looking for low and mid teens. Rhythm has been one of my best picks of the year, as it literally went from 5 and change to 31 and then pulled back and went to 35. So it's basically up nearly 5-fold since June, but I don't think it's anywhere near done, and I'm looking for eventually something in the low 40s. Seed, nice rebound in December, early January. We got the resistance and backed off and then popped again. But there wasn't enough volume. The stock pulled back. On Friday, there was a seller late, and the stock literally went in minutes from 9.5 to 8.79. But I think it's temporary. And again, I'm looking for a break back out over 9.5 to get this going again. Your targets are 10 3/4, 12 1/4, and 14. Shopify, inverse head and shoulder, breakout, swing trade, an extension. Nice pop Thursday, pull back Friday. My interpretation is it could see 58 or so. So XL, one of the rare times I put an ETF out for a trade, but I like the potentiality here. Now it did run up sharply and back off. Top of the channel, 5th wave. Needs to set up a little bit better. Eventually they'll look for a retest of the 21-2 zone. Spotify, beautiful rebound, run up and breakout across key resistance here. You can see how it's run up dramatically from 70 to 125 in a very short period of time, and it's at resistance, so careful here. But a longer term, 145 and 160 might be targets. Scholar Rock breaks out of a coil, pops, and forms a little flag in here. It looks like a bottoming pattern. Extension targets might be 15 and 18. STIM is one of my top 20 picks for the year. Double bottom, V bottom right-handed extension, breakthrough, run up to the target, back and fill. Doesn't look done yet, does it? Target 9. Bula popped out, pulled back. We put a swing on it. It coiled for a bit and then broke out and flagged and broke out again. Really nice looking chart. Right now, next target is 5 and 5 3/4. TERN, yet another top 20 pick, broke out here, been coiling for weeks and broke out again. We can get this at 1065, my targets are 13 and 17. Technoglass, also a breakout of the declining top line, and now in a rising channel. Very choppy, but looks higher. 38 and 41 targets. TGTX, beautiful base pattern, exploded, coil or flagged for about 6 weeks, big engulfing reversal bar on big volume. That was a signal for me. Look at that run up. This is tech trader swing. I think we're going to see 20. The NDX, beautiful long-term chart. Big snapback last week. Your stop is under 60. Your target 72 and 75. TOST, put a new swing on it as it exploded right to resistance and backed off. I'm not surprised to see that. May need some period of digestion, but I'm looking for 29.30. TSLA, the tracking stock for Tesla, has had a monster move from 4 and change to 10 and change. But with Tesla being a little bit vulnerable, this might be. Nevertheless, your target going forward is a retest of 13.5 3/4. TWOU broke out Friday, but it's up in a resistance zone. But I wanted to show it to you as it broke out of a base on big volume. Let's see if it sets up for more. Next targets would be about 17. UCL, a big run up from October through December, and now a beautiful coil holding the 50 before it breaks out again, and it did. It ran up to 660. My target now is 8. UMC, inverse head and shoulder breakout. This is a semiconductor stock like many stocks in the group looking similar. This may have room to run. 9, 10, and 12 are targets. The ERI broke out again. I put a swing on it. It backed off. Let's see if it holds it in the range around the 835 range. My target's 11. VKTX, a beautiful pop breakaway, explosive move, and now a coil. It looks like it could be substantially higher, but initially my target's 13. The RDN is a top 20 pick and flagging, looking like 46 target. The RNA similar, it's still coiling, 33. That's big. W. Wayfair broke out, we put a swing on it, it kept running and got to the target first. Second target's 88. WVE is my lowest price top 20 biotech pick. It's acted nicely, but it's in a stair-step fashion. Next target, 7.5 3/4 and 10. Zencor popped in June and took months to consolidate, but finally breaking out again. My target's in a 42.3 zone. And finally, Zyme, my top 20 pick as well, broke out and it's coiling. And then Friday broke out again. Now looking for 12.13. Looks really good. Folks, I don't have much to show you on the box or short side, but I have added a few new ones. So let's go over them and we'll complete our video for today. BILL looked like it was going to break back out again. It got to the major declining top line and failed miserably, dropping 27% on Friday. Any further downside here, and this could fall apart. Wouldn't be shocked to see low 70s, even mid 60s. CALX broke down from a head and shoulder top. And it's been stair-stepping its way down with a bear flag in here. This is a new tech trader swing short potential. I'll let you know on Monday. CI is another. Look at the top, head and shoulder top and break down below the neckline. It's already broken the trend line. So I'm noticing the healthcare stocks are starting to look like that. That's a very bearish pattern. Clearfit. Well, what a disastrous breakdown. After running up in November to 135, here we are, 62 being cut in half. Now, I wouldn't necessarily get aggressive here, but any snapback up in the mid 70s might be an entry opportunity for a short that eventually gets into the 50s. COP, like I told you, the oil sector looks negative to me. So I might be careful. I think it was you that was high on the stock, but I would be careful here as this looks like a bear flag and a breakdown. I may be wrong, maybe it wasn't Saran, but somebody in our group that was asking me about it a lot last week. 99 and 88 are targets, short. DGX, also a head and shoulder top breakdown, might be an entry opportunity for something on the downside that takes it down into the low 120s eventually. Dino is another tech trader swing short I put on that went a little bit above where I wanted it to, but notice where it failed and rolled over. If this fails again, this is a head and shoulder top. Neckline 47 target, followed by 42 or 41. NBIX already completed a head and shoulder top, came down from the bear flag. This is very precariously negative looking. 190 are targets. Overstock is rallied back to resistance. I'm not so sure. We'll keep a tab on this one. It's had a long decline. Basically, we got from 103 to the mid-teens. PANW, big bounce off support. a little bit too strong for me, but it's still in the bearish configuration. We'll see what happens here. Plexus broke down hard and snapped back to resistance. This is the kind of stock I like shorting when it does that. Nasty drop. The targets are retested 92, 87, and lower. Tandem has been in an ugly decline for a long time now, about a year and change. I'm not sure if this is a bottoming pattern or not, but we can always cover this one above 47. But if it rolls over, it targets at 39 and 34. Tech target broke down and tried to rally. It's still on my list only because it, still overall negative configuration looks like this. So I'm not in a rush to cover my short on this one. BTLA, formerly Laredo Petroleum, a rally to resistance. Might be interpreted as a bear wedge right there. Let's see if it holds or breaks down. If it does break down, 40 and 28 are targets. And finally, Zscaler has been in a long decline after this head and shoulder pattern broke and then snapped back to the neckline from the 275 range and made it down to 100 and rallied back sharply. Here at declining top sign again. Unimpressive volume though. We'll see if it breaks out or not. Folks, that's a look at the longs, the shorts, the underlying technicals, the components of the NASDAQ 100s, the ETFs, and basically a look at everything you need to know for going forward for next week. This is HB signing off, and once again apologizing for the audio problems with the first webinar, but I am going to be posting this shortly. Have a great weekend.